Alright, so today in class we did a volume lab and we talked about what volume is, and now we're actually going to learn how to calculate the volume of a prism. So we already talked about what a prism is, and we have already talked about what a triangular and a rectangular prism and what the difference is. Today we're going to learn how to calculate the volume. And again, just a quick review of what volume is. Volume is the measure of the space inside of a solid, a three-dimensional solid, and it is measured in cubic units. So we're going to start right away with some formulas. To find the volume of a rectangular prism, as you guys saw when we did the lab in class today, you can simply do that by multiplying the area of the base times the height of the prism. Or since prisms work out nicely, you could just multiply the 3 dimensions of the prism to figure out how many cubic units would fit inside. Whenever we work with a triangular prism, it's a little more difficult just because the base is a triangle. So we know that the volume is still going to be equal to the base area multiplied by the height, but you have to remember that since the base of a triangular prism is a triangle, you know you have a base measurement and a height measurement of the triangular prism's base, so your volume actually ends up being the little base multiplied by the little height all over 2, then multiplied by the height of the prism. So that gets a little confusing, but once we work with numbers, it should hopefully clarify from there. Alright, so let's try some examples. First example, find the volume of the rectangular prism. So we know that volume equals base area times height. So I'm going to look at this as the base. So in order to find the base area, that's going to be 2 times 3. And then the height of the prism is going to be 4. So I know that 2 times 3 is 6, times 4, that's going to be 24. And we know that our units are always centimeters cubed, or cubic units, in other words. Okay? So unlike area, volume comes in cubic units. Alright, find the volume of the triangular prism. So here's where it becomes different. We know that volume is equal to base area times height. So we look at our base. This time our base is a triangle. So we know to figure out the base area, I'm going to have to multiply the base of the triangle by the height of the triangle and divide that by 2. And we know that 10 is the height of the entire prism. Well, I know that 7 times 9 is 63. So that's going to be 63 over 2 multiplied by 10. Now I could do 63 over 2, which is 31.5. And go that route. I'll get 31.5 times 10. So my volume here is going to be 315 cubic meters. Okay, so not much difference between finding the volume of a rectangular prism and a triangular prism. The only difference is the base is a triangle here, so we calculate the base area differently. Alright, so let's get into a different type of a problem. So when we did area problems, we found dimensions that were missing. With volume problems, we're going to also look for dimensions that are missing. Again, if I look at a rectangular prism whose volume is 400 cubic centimeters, I'm going to look at my formula before I start anything. Again, volume equals base area times height. I know the dimensions of the base are 50 and 2. So I'm going to plug in everything that I know to create a formula. So I'm going to replace volume with 400. So that gets rid of that, equals, I'm going to replace base area with the calculation that I would use to figure out the base area, which is 50 times 2. And then since I don't know what the height is, and that's what I'm actually trying to solve for, I'm going to leave that as a dimension that I don't know, so I'm going to use a variable. So I'm going to simplify everything that I can in this problem. I know 50 multiplied by 2 is 100. So I'm left with 400 equals 100 multiplied by h. I want to isolate my variable. At this point, I hope you're pausing the video to work ahead of me. I'm going to divide by 100 on each side. That leaves me with 4 is equal to h. Or in other words, the height of this prism is 4 centimeters. Alright, so you guys probably noticed that I skipped this problem. We're actually going to start class with this problem right after the problem of the day tomorrow together. So let's get to the problem of the day. Problem of the day, just find the volume of these two figures. We'll go over this first thing in class tomorrow, and then we'll talk about how to find a missing dimension on a triangular prism. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.